Okay, guys, I know most of you are probably not in a great mood because of what happened in New Zealand, which I'm not going to talk about because it could probably get you penalized or something by YouTube. So we're going to talk a little bit more about what's been going on with the Russia investigation, with the FBI obstruction of justice. So a couple of days ago, we did this video. If you watch this video about Fred Hampton, you have to realize that Fred Hampton was a target of the local police department, the Cook County Prosecutor's Office, as well as the FBI, and their point of view was probably that he was a danger to the welfare of the system, and that he was a black revolutionary, a Marxist, which he was a Marxist, was a far left communist and everything. It still doesn't justify what they did in order to cover up their role in his death, which is an extrajudicial execution. If you follow the accounts of the witnesses, Fred Hampton was murdered with the blessing of the FBI, the Cook County Prosecutor's Office, as well as the Chicago Police Department. That's what is the problem with people who are law and order, hardcore people who say, well, we just need people to respect the law more. If law enforcement doesn't respect the law, then the citizens aren't going to respect the law either. And what you have here is Peter Strzok saying, well, I deleted personal communications with Lisa Page. Okay, this is an FBI agent basically saying, well, I deleted evidence that would have been crucial to this probe going on into a number of topics. Why was Peter Strzok important? Peter Strzok, among others, was responsible for the mid-year investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails. He was then put onto the FBI's investigation of the Trump-Russia collusion. And somebody who's so blatantly biased and who's saying various things that are obviously putting his ability to use his proper judgment and impartiality into the equation, if he's so biased, then there's reason to believe that he could not be a good person to be a part of this investigation. In fact, he talks, we're going to get to the insurance policy and everything, but think about it this way, okay? Imagine what happened with the O.J. Simpson trial. The fact is that there was plenty of forensic evidence that would suggest that O.J. Simpson murdered his wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her boyfriend, Ronald Goldman. But one of the things that helped to get him off the hook for that crime was that the police officer, the detective that was assigned to the case, Mark Furman, had been recorded saying the N-word in a tape and saying a number of very racist things. And the fact is that tape kind of had more to do with this production of a movie or something, and it's debatable whether that was Mark Furman's personal views or not, and people were saying, well, he perjured himself, he lied, he said the word or whatever. That is important, okay? When people that was a genius move on the part of the prosecutors in the O.J. Simpson case. They were able to impeach the credibility of Mark Furman, this police officer in the O.J. Simpson case, by saying, well, if he thinks this about black people and he sees O.J. Simpson, this rich athlete, and he wants to really screw him and plant evidence and everything, well, you can't really trust his testimony. And it worked. It worked. And I believe Mark Furman was actually convicted of perjury in the case, even though in the view of some people, that wasn't a material lie. A material lie means that the lie that he told on the stand has something relevant to the actual case. In this instance, you have Peter Strzok saying numerous very disparaging things about Donald Trump. And the whole time, if you watched his testimony on Capitol Hill last year, Peter Strzok came across as somebody who was saying, he looked very disingenuous. He was grinning the whole time, and he was saying, look, I don't really think that what I was doing would, in any way, influence my decisions as far as the investigation into Donald Trump. But The fact of the matter is, well, let's read through some of this. Peter Strzok told Congress in 2018 that so this was behind closed doors. This is what we didn't see. And they've released a transcript now. Peter Strzok told Congress in 2018 that he deleted communications with Lisa Page, but he claimed he did so for, quote, personal reasons. An attorney for Strzok says that the former FBI official deleted the records before he was removed from special counsel Robert Mueller's Russia team. Strzok testified he was asked to review his personal phone and email accounts for any work-related documents. He said he conducted a search of those devices but found no FBI materials on them. Former FBI official Peter Strzok told Congress in 2018 that he deleted personal communications he had with his mistress, former FBI attorney Lisa Page. So this is very important. This is an FBI phone, and he says he's deleted messages on it because they're personal. It's the same exact excuse that was used by Clinton regarding the emails that were deleted, or the emails that were not released to the FBI, claiming that they were personal. They were about yoga and Chelsea Clinton's wedding and things like that. That is blatantly, this shows how prejudicial he was and how little integrity Peter Strzok had. But they were personal communications, not the work ones, added Strzok, who acknowledged having an extramarital affair with Page. Eitan Goldman, an attorney for Strzok, told the Daily Caller News Foundation on Thursday that Strzok deleted the messages before he was removed from the Mueller team. Pete deleted personal communications from his personal iPhone before and unrelated to these investigations. Okay, so if it wasn't the FBI phone, I think if it was to be subpoenaed, he'd still have to he would still have to disclose it because he's being investigated now. Goldman did not provide a specific date for the deletions. Strzok, who was fired from the FBI in August 2018, said he had been contacted by the Justice Department's Office of the Inspector General to provide any work-related communications he had on his personal cell phone and email accounts. So I would say that if he did that, he might actually be. You could actually charge Peter Strzok with obstruction of justice. It's not up to him to determine what was work-related and what wasn't work-related. The Office of Inspector General was probing into his activities. As Deputy Chief of FBI's Counterintelligence Division, Strzok oversaw the Trump-Russia investigation dubbed Crossfire Hurricane. He also played a leading role in the Hillary Clinton email investigation, which focused on whether the 2016 presidential candidate mishandled classified information on his private email server. One issue that arose during that investigation was Clinton's decision to delete around 30,000 emails that she deemed to be personal in nature. The former Secretary of State provided another 30,000 emails to the State Department in December 2014. Republicans have asserted that Clinton may have... So 30,000 emails is a lot of emails, by the way. I find it breathtaking. I don't send that many emails myself at work. Although, granted, I guess if you're Secretary of State, you're much more active. But from what I understand, she was also kind of, an ignorant idiot, and she didn't know how to use email. So how is it that she managed to send 30,000 emails, which I believe is only a fraction of the total? In the case of Strzok and Page's personal communications, the OIG made the request after finding the pair had exchanged anti-Trump text messages on their FBI-issued cell phones. Strzok was removed from the special counsel's team after Michael Horowitz, the Inspector General, told special counsel Robert Mueller about the texts. Strzok said he had conducted a search of his personal accounts and devices but found no work-related messages. He made it clear in his testimony that he was allowed to conduct the search on his own without the involvement of the FBI or OIG. During Strzok's congressional hearing, Goldman said that he would not agree to provide his client's personal communications to the committee or anybody. Just to clarify, we were asked to provide any work-related communications on Special Agent Strzok's personal devices, and he reviewed and found that there weren't any, and we told the IG that. We have not agreed, nor do we agree now, to open up all of Special Agent Strzok's personal communications on his personal devices to the committee or anybody. How is that not obstruction of justice? Okay? He was asked to provide it to the Inspector General, and he deleted it. Don't you think that's obstruction of justice? And now he's not going to deliver it? Strzok also said that he was unaware of any attempts by the OIG or FBI to use subpoenas in order to obtain his personal communications. The Strzok page texts were discovered during an investigation of the FBI's handling of the Clinton email investigation. The messages showed that Strzok and Page exchanged disparaging remarks about President Donald Trump. They also discussed aspects of Crossfire Hurricane, the FBI counterintelligence probe of the Trump campaign. In one text on August 8th, 2016, Strzok told Page that we'll stop Trump from becoming president. In a text message a week later, he discussed an insurance policy that the FBI should take out in the event of a Trump election victory. So this was from the 14th. That was yesterday. They also released his testimony yesterday. And now Trey Gowdy, he's talking about the source behind the insurance policy. Former Representative Trey Gowdy said Thursday the most important information that came out of former FBI agent Peter Strzok's private testimony to Congress last year was about the insurance policy mentioned in a text message to Lisa Page, a former FBI lawyer with whom Strzok was having an affair. Strzok testified that the mid-August 2016 text was part of a larger conversation about protecting an extremely sensitive source, as he and Page discovered how far to lean into the counterintelligence investigation into possible links between the Trump campaign and Russia, as they didn't think Trump had a very good chance of beating Hillary Clinton in the election. Gowdy, one of the Republicans who received Strzok's testimony and was concerned that the insurance policy had to do with a plan to undermine Donald Trump's 2016 presidential campaign, doubts such a source ever existed. There is no information because there is nothing. There is no source, Gowdy said during an appearance on Fox News where he is a contributor. Text messages between Strzok and Page in which they displayed a negative opinion of Trump were uncovered over the course of the Justice Department's Inspector General investigation into the DOJ and FBI's conduct during the investigation into Hillary Clinton's unauthorized private email server, which he used while serving as Secretary of State. The text Strzok sent to Page on August 15, 2016 read, "I want to believe the path you threw out in Andrew McCabe's office, that there's no way he gets elected, but I'm afraid we can't take the risk. It's like an insurance policy in the unlikely event you die before you're 40. Both Strzok and Page were grilled about it during a testimony to a joint congressional task force looking into potential bias within the Justice Department and FBI. They should make a movie about these two. Page admitted the texts were referring to the Russia investigation, but said it was a continuing check-in to decide how quickly to proceed with the investigation based on the outcome of the election. We don't need to go at a total breakneck speed because so long as he doesn't become president, there isn't the same threat to national security, right? So they're basically saying, well, we don't expect him to become president anyway, so what does it matter whether this investigation gets completed or not? Then he says, but then she says, so this is Lisa Page talking, sorry. It was Lisa Page. So she says, but if he becomes president, that totally changes the game because now he is the president of the United States. Page continued, he's going to immediately start receiving classified briefings. He's going to be exposed to the most sensitive secrets imaginable. And if there is somebody on his team who willingly or unwillingly is working with the Russians, that is super serious. Reacting to Page's testimony revealed earlier this week were Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky and President Trump. This deserves more attention, Paul tweeted. FBI Mistress Lisa Page confirmed to House Judiciary there was an anti-Trump insurance policy and it's the fake Russian investigation. She admits there was almost no evidence on collusion, yet they continued with the witch hunt. Trump added, I agree with Rand Paul. This is the only thing they'll agree on this week. This is a total disgrace and should never happen to another president. So, I think that this is basically this entire saga, which many people already knew about. The only difference is this, okay? Many of us who have been following this for the past 2.5 years have known all about what's been going on. The only difference is that now it's been entered into the record in front of Congress. So this is public record. It's no longer, leaked documents, or the Office of Inspector General released a report or something, which people kind of ignore. It's now public knowledge that Lisa Page and Peter Strzok essentially kept an investigation alive, even though they didn't actually have any evidence of what the accusations were. And, they also took as evidence this dossier, a dossier that was compiled by political opponents of Donald Trump. Okay, so this is very important. Okay, now if you listen to Chuck Todd, who's a moron, he keeps bringing up whenever people say that the dossier was fake and that it was conjured up by the Hillary Clinton campaign, he goes back and says, well, originally it was paid for by a Republican campaign, meaning the Jeb Bush campaign, right? Through the Washington Free Beacon, which is another pretty centrist and neocon paper. So his whole point is, well, we did the wrong thing, but somebody else did the wrong thing before you did, because Chuck Todd is in the tank for the Democrats. Okay, so their whole point is, well, it doesn't matter that the process is tainted. It doesn't matter that the information is false. It doesn't matter that the source of the information is using it in order to get political points against their enemy. Okay, against Donald Trump. It's still admissible as evidence. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. All of this would never fly in an actual criminal trial. And the dossier itself, once it became clear that so many things could not be confirmed, such as this allegation that Michael Cohen had went to Prague to meet with Russian agents, such as the piss dossier, or the peeing story, the prostitution and everything. All of those stories were kind of discarded, and they started saying, well, really the reason we started it was because of George Papadopoulos, which will also come to light. And I'm hoping that they follow through on that they call George Papadopoulos to speak in front of the Senate and in front of the House. And what people will discover once they hear the whole story, which I've already heard, I heard it on the Dan Bongino podcast, is that basically this entire operation was basically an entrapment scheme. It was an entrapment scheme by the Obama administration and by various foreign intelligence services in cooperation with the FBI, in cooperation possibly with the CIA and National Security Agency, to entrap Donald Trump and say, well, he's not going to be dependable because he's compromised by foreign agents. Who are the foreign agents? We're the foreign agents. The foreign agents are the British intelligence and Australian and I think it was Alexander Downer, who was the Australian guy. He's a former ambassador from Australia. I think he was even foreign minister for a short while. So that's really the story here, that they're trying to entrap Donald Trump with evidence that would never be admissible in an actual trial, because it's so prejudicial, it's so implausible, and there's so little substance behind it that it couldn't possibly be used. Look, I know a lot of people think that the investigation into Hillary Clinton is partisan, but the fact is that there is evidence there. She did delete emails. She did have, there were emails on private servers. Okay, those things did happen. Okay, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. So there is something to investigate. With Donald Trump, everything that was used in order to start the investigation was basically concocted by people not even involved in his campaign. So that's about it. I hope you appreciated kind of this type of explanation. And even though it's kind of a rough day today, given the news coming from across the world, I think it's important for us to keep an eye out on this issue and how it's unfolding. So please like this video, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to my second channel, Razor Ray Special Cuts, as well as my channel on BitChute and my accounts on Minds and Gab, and I'll talk to you later.